You don't always notice when it starts. That's the terrifying beauty of slow damage. It doesn't sound alarms. It whispers. It slips in unnoticed, creeping through the cracks in your defenses like fog until your entire world feels colder, darker, heavier. You brush it off as a bad day, a rough patch, a misunderstanding. You convince yourself they didn't mean it, or that maybe, just maybe, it's you who's being too sensitive. You give them the benefit of the doubt, again and again, because your heart still remembers the early days. After all, they say they love you, and you love them, don't you? Or at least you love who they were, or who you thought they were, or maybe just the idea of them, the comfort of the familiar. But love is not the absence of bruises. It's the presence of safety. Love should never ask you to shrink. And sometimes we stay in places that drain us because we've confused pain with passion, silence with peace, or control with care. We've grown up romanticizing chaos, mistaking emotional turbulence for depth. We learn to wear our suffering like a badge of honor, as if staying through pain is a measure of loyalty. We forget that peace is not boring, it's healing, and comfort is not complacency, it's freedom. Let me tell you a story. Your story, perhaps. Or the story of someone you know. Someone who used to laugh louder, sleep deeper, speak with fire. Someone who used to fill rooms with their energy and dreams. Someone who now walks on eggshells without realizing their feet are bleeding. Someone who used to dance in the sun, but now lives in the shadows of someone else's approval. Someone who used to chase stars and now counts cracks in the ceiling. That's what this is about. The slow disappearance of the self beneath the weight of someone else's moods, expectations, and disapproval. Harm doesn't always slam doors or leave physical scars. It's quieter than that. It's the way you flinch before you speak, and the way you rehearse your thoughts in your head because you know one wrong word will spark a storm. It's the way you feel lonelier lying next to them than you ever did alone. It's the way your laughter feels foreign now, or your reflection seems unfamiliar. And it's time you see it for what it is. Not a love story, but a slow unraveling. Not a miscommunication, but a system of slow decay. Here are 10 signs you might be in a harmful relationship and not even realize it. Not because you're blind, but because you're human. And hope is a dangerous drug. It makes us stay when we should run. It makes us settle when we should demand more. It makes us rewrite reality until the truth is too distorted to recognize. The first sign is the erosion of your identity. You used to have opinions, dreams, strange quirks that made you you, but now you hesitate. You've been corrected so many times, mocked, dismissed, or guilt-tripped, that you've learned it's safer to be agreeable. You shapeshift to avoid conflict. You stop listening to your favorite songs because they don't like them. You stop wearing that color because they said it's too much. You stop speaking your truth because you've been trained to doubt it. You lose pieces of yourself, one silent compromise at a time. That's not love. That's erasure. The second sign is that their love feels conditional. You feel adored. When you're perfect. When you meet their expectations. When you're calm, accommodating, convenient. But the moment you express a need, a frustration, or, God forbid, a boundary, the warmth vanishes. They withdraw. Or worse, they punish. You find yourself apologizing for things you shouldn't be sorry for, just to get back to the good times. You start chasing validation instead of receiving love. You're not loved for who you are, but for how well you perform. And it's exhausting. The third sign is the constant confusion. You're always questioning yourself. Was I overreacting? Did I mishear? Am I being crazy? That's not your mind playing tricks on you. It's the long-term effect of emotional manipulation. When someone constantly invalidates your perception of reality, you start to mistrust your own senses. That's called gaslighting, and it's one of the most insidious forms of abuse. Because if they can make you doubt your own mind, they've already won, and confusion becomes your new normal. The fourth sign is the isolation. Maybe it happens slowly. Maybe it was under the guise of, they don't really support us, or, I just don't feel comfortable around them. But now your circle is shrinking. You don't talk to your friends as much. You avoid your family. You've stopped sharing details because you'd re-afraid they all see what you'd re-trying to unsee. That's how harmful dynamics thrive, in secrecy. They cut your lifeline so the only one you have left is them, and they call it love. The fifth sign is your fear of their moods. You wake up each morning gauging the temperature of the relationship. You read their silence like a weather forecast. Will today be calm or a storm? You become hyper-aware, constantly anticipating their needs, their triggers, their reactions. Not because you care more, but because you're afraid. You don't feel like a partner. You feel like a peacekeeper in a war zone where no bullets are visible, but the wounds are real. Love should not feel like survival. The sixth sign is the disappearing joy. Not from life in general, but from within the relationship. You used to feel excited to see them. Now you feel tension in your stomach. You used to laugh together. Now the silence is louder than words. You used to feel alive. Now you feel tired. Not tired from work or the world, but from them. From having to manage their moods, edit yourself, survive each conversation. Love shouldn't feel like labor. Connection shouldn't be a chore. Joy shouldn't be a memory. The seventh sign is the subtle control. They never say, you can't, but they make it clear what they approve of. They don't lock the doors, but you still feel trapped. They don't raise their voice, but their silence is worse. You feel guilty when you make plans without them. You start changing your behavior, not because you want to, but because you've learned what keeps the peace. That's not compromise. That's coercion in disguise. Control doesn't always come with chains. Sometimes it comes with guilt. The eighth sign is the disappearance of your voice. Not just in arguments, but in the relationship as a whole. You stop initiating conversations. You stop asking for what you want. You stop dreaming out loud. You even stop fighting back. Because what's the point? You already know how it ends. They'll twist your words, turn the blame, or make you feel selfish for simply wanting more. So you stay quiet, and with every silence, you disappear a little more. Until one day, you can't remember the last time you truly spoke. The ninth sign is how they make you feel about yourself. You used to be confident. Now you question your worth. You used to glow. Now you feel dull. They don't criticize you outright. Sometimes they even compliment you. But it's backhanded. It's laced with comparison, with expectations, with reminders of how lucky you are to have them. And slowly, you start believing them. That maybe no one else would love you. That maybe you are too much or not enough. That maybe this is the best you'll ever get. That is emotional imprisonment, and it leaves deep scars. And finally, the 10th sign is how you justify them to others. How many times have you said, they're just stressed? They're not always like this. You don't know them like I do. You become their lawyer, their PR team, their defense. You paint over their patterns with your hope. You tell others to focus on the good. But you know, deep down, that the good moments are just the sugar that helps you swallow the poison. And the sweetness never lasts. It hurts to admit these things. It feels like betrayal. Not just of them, but of the version of you that believed in this love. But acknowledgement isn't betrayal. It's the first act of self-rescue. It's reclaiming the parts of yourself you handed away piece by piece. It's planting your feet in the truth, even when it trembles beneath you. It's beginning again, with clarity, with courage, with hope that isn't rooted in denial. You may ask, why do people stay? Because leaving isn't easy when your self-worth is eroded. Because harmful relationships aren't always 100% bad. Sometimes they're 90% beautiful, and it's that 10% that breaks you. Because we mistake familiarity for safety. Because we confuse intensity with intimacy. Because we were taught that love is sacrifice, but never taught how to recognize self-destruction. Because we're afraid of loneliness more than we're afraid of pain. Because we think endurance is love. But here's the truth. Love is not meant to make you smaller. It's meant to make you braver. A good relationship doesn't clip your wings. It teaches you to fly higher. It doesn't make you doubt yourself. It helps you believe in yourself more. It doesn't drain your spirit. It fills your soul. It doesn't silence your heart. It teaches it how to sing. You are allowed to walk away from someone who makes you feel invisible, unstable, or afraid. You are allowed to rewrite your story, even if it means starting over alone. Because alone is not the enemy. The slow death of your spirit is. You can love someone and still choose yourself. You can miss them and still walk away. You can grieve the loss and still be grateful you left. You deserve peace. You deserve warmth that doesn't burn. You deserve a love that feels like coming home, not like surviving a war. You deserve to wake up with hope, not dread. You deserve nights filled with rest, not rehearsals. You deserve to live, not just endure. And if any part of this story felt like yours, maybe it's time you stopped surviving and started living. Maybe it's time you remembered who you were before the silence. Maybe it's time you became that person again, only stronger, wiser, freer.